If you're like me and you're looking to add a water filtration system to your home, you've noticed that there's possibly a bad taste or maybe some sediment or something going on with your water and you're looking for a filtration system. I searched and tried to find videos and looking for um, how to DIY projects for these kinds of things. And I finally decided to go with the iSpring dual stage for my particular application. And it's right above me here, but we'll get into that here in a second. But there's obviously, depending on your own application and what you're looking for filtration, I did quite a bit of research and found that I decided on this would be the product for me that would best work for what we needed. And now we are on a municipal city water, so there's certain good and bad to that, I'm sure. But this is what is going to work best for us based on what I decided. So obviously it will depend on your particular application and what you're looking for as far as filtration. What type of filter you're going to need is going to be unique to your own installation. But at least in this particular video, you can see how I use it in my home. And my home is a new home. It's only a year old. And so it did have PEX A in it. So it's something I had to kind of learn about and research on, what would be best to install and tap into that. So again, your application may be completely different, but at least it gives you some ideas of what my mindset was going into this and maybe how it can work for you as well. Here is the box that I received from iSpring, and you can see here the model number that I purchased and the two-stage filtration illustration there on the box. Okay, so after unboxing the kit, here is the manual that comes with it, and this is for, again, the iSpring WGB21B whole house filtration system. Here's the manual that comes with it. Here is the mounting bracket and hardware for the two filter canisters, and you can see here that it does have specific in and out direction here. So in here, and then you follow the path, so in and out. Now when I got this, it was opposite, so I took these bolts off and flipped it around. So as long as it follows that correct path, then you're okay with the direction of the water. Now the first stage for the filtration is this canister here that comes with the kit, and it is the carbon block filter here that will go in the first slot coming in. And the second one here is going to be this GAC CDF for basically for heavy metals. You can see here it reduces chlorine, lead, hydrogen sulfates, odors, and it was basically other heavy metals that I saw when I ordered this. That's kind of what we wanted. We're on city water here, and we don't have, as far as I know, we don't have any sediment that I've seen in any of the faucets or anything like that. So we went ahead and I just got the two-stage filtration. You can add a third stage to this, which would then have a sediment filter along with these other two. This is what I decided to go with. And anyway, so here is also the handle to remove the canisters that come with it. And then the parts that I'm going to use are kind of laid out here. And the house has PEX A pipe in it. So I'm going to be tapping into the PEX A and transitioning to PEX B for the short in and out duration of the filtration system. So I do have some various parts here. First, I did buy, it's a 5-foot stick of PEX B in the white. This is 3/4 pipe I'm working with here. And I have these shark bite fittings, which I'm going to use to transition from the PEX A over to the PEX B and then back. So I have a couple T fittings that I've got here, 3/4, 3/4, a couple elbows, and one shut off that I'm going to use as part of the bypass for the system. And then for the PEX B, I have these shut off valves and some crimp rings and elbow, and these are the two threaded ends that will go into the in and out on the canister housing itself, and they are the 1 inch threaded end there to the 3/4 pipe. And then some other additional tools I picked up is a shark bite depth tool, so I can make sure that I'm marking my depth when I sink the shark bite, I'm sorry, into the pipe, make sure it fits correctly and doesn't have any leaks. And then some removal tools for the shark bite fittings. I also picked up some silicone grease to use on the O-rings that will go inside for the canister here. I'll go ahead and grease those up and put them on. And then some Teflon tape and some pipe thread sealant. I'm going to use that as well, just to make sure that I get these threaded ends here, here, really good and tight, and so I don't have any leaks going into the canister. And then some tools I picked up. I had these cutters already, but I'm going to use these cutters to cut the PEX. And then this PEX crimper I picked up at Home Depot. I think it was about $48, somewhere just right about 50 bucks. And you can see here it does do the 3/4 and 1/2 inch crimps. And so that'll be great. Hopefully it works good. I'm just kind of new to me. I'm definitely not a professional plumber. This is a DIY project, but I'm learning a little bit as we're going. And I also picked up this ring removal tool just in case I get into any issues where I do have to cut off and repair anything. I can cut off with this tool here. It'll just basically go in and snap that ring and you can remove it. Now hopefully I don't have to use that, and if I don't, I may end up just returning it. But I bought it just in case I do need to go in and cut these rings off of the PEX B fittings that I'm going to be using here. So hopefully that's a good overview of how, at least the parts that I'm going to be using and how they're going to be connected, hopefully, to my existing system. And then we will show you how that all is going to go in together. I'll show you how I put it together and how I finished it all once I get to that point. Okay, so I mounted the housing up here onto this 2x4 framework that I built. And I used these lag bolts, maybe a little overkill, but it was kind of heavy with the bracket itself, and then of course the containers, the canisters holding all the water in the filter. So I went ahead and secured that up there, got it nice and level. Now, on the inlet, I used the Teflon and some pipe dope to go around, thread that in tight. I did use the crimp rings here, you can see on the PEX B to the shark bite, and crimp those. And I used the no-go gauge to verify that they were crimped correctly. You have to make sure that when you do crimp these, that they're not too tight or too loose. They have to be just right. But once you get that, it really wasn't that hard, but I just double checked them with the gauge itself. And then the shark bites, I used that tool that I showed in the earlier in the video, where I checked the depth and then I marked it with a Sharpie. You can see the line there. And with that Sharpie, you can make sure that you're pressing it on all the way, because if you don't get that on tight, it will leak. And so you'll feel, as you press this on, you will feel the resistance, but you got to make sure you snap it all the way in up to the line. And you can see here as well, all the way up to the next one. So I added in these pieces of PEX B into the shark bite, into the filter canister, back out into the other side as well, where I use the brass fitting here, threaded in, crimped, shark bite with PEX B up into the first valve here, so I can use a bypass, so I can shut the filtration system off and then go into the house, and then that will keep me so where I can actually shut this system off and work on it, or if there's any leaks or any problems with the system itself, I can go ahead and keep the whole house water running. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and put this. This is a multi-purpose silicone grease that's made for the O-rings, and it is a food grade grease. So that's something that I saw doing research on this to make sure that you put that on to help lubricate and seal the O-ring, the O-rings on these containers here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done now. Put a little coat on these rings and just kind of go around and do that. Okay, so this is the stage 1 filter. We're going to go ahead and insert that into the canister in preparation for this install. Go ahead and screw that up into the housing. We'll use the tool provided by the manufacturer to go ahead and snug this filter down tight. Go around a few times. All right, that's pretty tight. I'll double check everything. I'm still going to have to tap into my main over here and run a shutoff on the top side and come back out over here. So have some more plumbing to do, but I'm just getting ready as much as I can, get everything prepped before I go ahead and cut into the main. It comes down here, and copper from the outside of the house into the main shutoff here, and then the PEX A coming up. So I'm going to have to make that turn into what I'm plumbing in here into the canister housing, with my bypass going to be on top, my shutoffs here, you can see there. I use PEX B with shark bites and the parts that I showed earlier that I had purchased. So about halfway there. I gotta just make sure everything's ready before I cut into the main. Okay, so for the stage 2 filter, this is the filter that's going in stage 2 that I decided to use for the more of the chlorine and some of the different, this one reduces chlorine, lead, hydrogen sulfate, and some odors, and that's what I think we are dealing with here in this particular house, is more of the chlorine, so I'm looking to filter that out. But on this package, it didn't indicate which way the filter goes in, and then when I was looking at it, it shows, it has a seal here on the top, and then it has nothing on the bottom. It does, sit this way. This is the way it was packaged. I wasn't quite sure on the indication. It doesn't say which way is up, but I went to their website and I did see another filter for sale, and on their packaging, it did say on the package right here, it said this side up. So that's the way it's going to be installed. So I'm going to go ahead and install it that way, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the grease on like I did on the stage 1. We'll get that in and get it up there and mounted. Definitely don't want to over tighten these, but you want them in there good and snug for sure. Okay, so I did go ahead and turn the water on. So I turned the main back on. This is the final setup. And at first what I did was I actually had both the side levers off. I brought the water in and then made sure first that it was flowing across. So I opened up this valve straight open, and then to make sure that I at least had no leaks coming across the top, so I could supply the house. Then I went ahead and shut this off like it is currently here, and then I went ahead and opened up this side to bring the water in and start filling up the canisters and make sure I didn't have any leaks on this side. And then of course it came across and filled up and then back up and out. So everything went well, no leaks. And then I went ahead and just put some clamps on to hold everything in place. Perfect so far, no leaks. I did also put some labels on here to indicate the date that I put the filter in and activated it, so it's good to go. This video is a little behind. I forgot to record some of it as I was going, but this was the actual date that I did the turned the water on to it. So I had to make a hard right hand, or right angle turn up here. The pipe just didn't give me enough angle to that's just the best solution I could come up with, was go ahead and take a 90 into it. I was, tried a few different things, but the PEX was pretty stiff and didn't want to give a lot. I probably could have, heated it or something to kind of get a little more, but actually it worked out just fine in this angle coming up and across and then back out, and then it feeds the rest of the house. So as you can see, I just took it from out of the ceiling where it came, through the top side of these floor joists, and just brought it down under and then secured it that way. And so that's the final setup, and it's been operational now for a week or so, I believe, and no a couple weeks, I guess, and no issues. The water actually tastes so much better. We can notice a difference in the smell and the taste, and so I'm really, really happy. My wife's happy, of course, with it, and so everything so far so good. We're enjoying the system.